A Western think tank warning is now fueling speculation that Iran could be just days away from seizing a decisive edge in this war. The US and Israel may be drifting toward a dangerously defenseless moment, with interceptor stocks reportedly nearing critical depletion. Iran's early move to take out radars may have changed the entire course of the war, blinding parts of the defensive network and making every new strike harder to stop. Iran appears to have exposed a new reality of modern warfare, where victory is decided not just by what happens on the battlefield but by who can keep reloading the fastest. In just the first 16 days of the war, the US and Israel are said to have burned through $26 billion worth of defensive firepower at an astonishing rate. This is fast becoming an alarming moment for Israel, especially now that another Iran-aligned proxy has entered the fight and opened a new layer of pressure.
This operation involved a salvo of ballistic missiles that targeted sensitive military sites of the Israeli enemy in the southern region of the occupied land of Palestine.
The US and Israel now appear to be facing a massive logistical crisis as the ongoing war with Iran continues to put extreme pressure on their military resources and operational endurance. According to current projections, US and Israeli interceptor inventories could begin running out within just days or weeks if the present pace of conflict and incoming attacks continues. This claim was made by the Royal United Services Institute, or RUSI, in a recent analysis that was later highlighted by Iran's press TV. That analysis argued that industrial endurance, or the ability to sustain production and replenishment during wartime, is now shaping strategic decision-making on both sides of the conflict. RUSI warned that Israel's stockpile of Arrow interceptors may be fully exhausted by the end of March if Iranian missile pressure remains at the current level. The same analysis projected that the United States THAAD interceptor inventory could also be depleted within a month under the strain of sustained regional operations. The think tank blamed Iran's continued retaliatory strikes for driving an extremely high interceptor burn rate and rapidly consuming available air defense resources. The report also noted that Iran's decision to target radar systems has further compounded the strain by weakening detection coverage and increasing defensive pressure. It is important to remember that Iran targeted multiple Western radar sites across the region during the first few days of the war, adding to the operational challenge. RUSI said that in just the first 16 days of the conflict, the US and Israel used around 11,294 munitions at a staggering estimated cost of $26 billion. The think tank further revealed that high-end precision munitions are being depleted faster than they can be replaced through normal production cycles and existing industrial capacity. RUSI also warned that Israel may be staring at a major strategic crisis in the near future if the current rate of munitions expenditure continues unchecked. According to the analysis, replacing the Arrow interceptors already expended in combat could take as long as 2 to 3 years under current manufacturing conditions. The think tank emphasized the concept of command of the reload, highlighting that the ability to replenish weapon stocks is now central to sustained modern warfare. This warning comes as Iran has reportedly carried out more than 80 waves of strikes so far under what it calls Operation True Promise 4. The IRGC claimed that on the night of March the 27th and 28th, it destroyed several US and Israeli targets during another wave of coordinated attacks. Israeli medics confirmed that one person was killed after an Iranian missile strike hit the Tel Aviv area during the latest round of hostilities. Magen David Adams said that a man in his 60s was killed, while 2 other people suffered light injuries in central Israel following the strike. Israeli media also reported that shrapnel from Iranian missiles fell at 11 different locations across the greater Tel Aviv area, causing further alarm and disruption. Meanwhile, Yemen's Houthis, who are widely seen as aligned with Iran, entered the conflict at a time when interceptor shortages are already becoming a serious concern. According to the Times of Israel on March 28, Yemen's Houthis launched a missile attack aimed at southern Israel amid the widening regional confrontation. The IDF said it successfully intercepted a missile fired by the Houthis towards southern Israel, according to a report published by the Times of Israel. No injuries were reported in what was described as the first attack launched from Yemen since the beginning of the current war. The Houthis also threatened further intervention if the war continues to escalate or if additional parties openly join the US-Israel side in the conflict.
In implementation of what was stated in the previous communique of the Yemeni armed forces regarding the direct military intervention in support and backing of the Islamic Republic of Iran and the fronts of the resistance in Lebanon, Iraq, and Palestine, and in light of the continued military escalation, the targeting of infrastructure, and the perpetration of crimes and massacres against our brothers in Lebanon, Iran, Iraq, and Palestine, the Yemeni armed forces, by the grace of Allah and reliance upon Him, have carried out their first military operation. This operation involved a salvo of ballistic missiles that targeted sensitive military sites of the Israeli enemy in the southern region of the occupied land of Palestine. This operation coincided with the heroic operations being carried out by our Mujahideen brothers in Iran and Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the operation successfully achieved its objectives by the grace of Allah. Our operations, with Allah's support, will continue until the declared goals are achieved, as stated in the previous communique of the armed forces, and until the aggression against all fronts of the resistance ceases.
Meanwhile, amid the Houthis' entry into the war, Donald Trump said that Iran was no longer the bull of the Middle East, signaling a sharp political message.
As you know, we're gathered at a moment of bold action and historic decision to make America and our allies safer and stronger, more prosperous, more successful than ever before. That's what's happening. Tonight, we're closer than ever to the rise of the Middle East that is finally free at last from Iranian terror, aggression, and nuclear blackmail. That's what's happened. It was nuclear blackmail for years and years. And beyond that, there was blackmail, period. Under my leadership, America is ending the threat posed by this radical regime, decimating Iran's capabilities with Operation Epic Fury, something that nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. We have the most powerful military in the world by far. I built it in my first term. Remember, I said $1 trillion. They all said, what do you mean $1 trillion? $1 trillion. Every year, another trillion the next, another trillion. We have the best people. We have by far the best equipment. We have weapons that nobody's ever seen before. We have weapons that nobody even knows about, except for a few of us. For 47 years, Iran has been known as the bully of the Middle East, but they are not the bully any longer. They're on the run.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.